Why hello and welcome to my kitchen. So when this video comes out I will have 1,000 subscribers, and since my channel is themed around cakes and there's a big thing about cakes in the Ace community, I thought it would be a good idea to bake the cake that's in my icon. Now the cake shown in my logo, which is probably somewhere on the screen here, is a 3-layered cake with the colours of the Ace flag. So it has purple at the bottom, then white, then grey, and it's covered in black icing. So basically that's what the cake I'm going to be trying to recreate today. So I'm going to be making a 3-layered white cake and then colouring the 2 of the layers, one purple and one grey. See how that goes. Grey's a bit hard to get just because it will turn black fast. And then I'm going to be doing it Victoria sponge style, so I'm going to have jam and then buttercream in between each of the layers, and I'm then going to coat it all in a black buttercream icing. So, that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully this will make sense. I've never done a cooking video before because I'm not a cooking channel. So this should be fun. I do like, well, this is technically a baking video. I'm already making mistakes. So yeah, but basically this is just a bit of fun and for me to celebrate getting to 1,000 subscribers, even though when I'm doing this I'm at 900. So let's get started. So, the fancy chef that I am, I have already pre-prepared all of my measured ingredients. They've been measured, they're here. So I might just go through them one by one, maybe. So I have some plain flour, caster sugar, baking powder, sunflower oil, semi-skimmed milk, butter, eggs, and finally some salt. I've also greased the baking trays just so the cake doesn't stick. It's probably better to use baking parchment though. So I want to switch the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 if it's fan, 350 if it's Fahrenheit, and I can't remember the gas mark off the top of my head, it may be gas mark 4. So now that the oven is turned on, I'm going to beat the butter to make it beaten. I don't really know what to say when I'm cooking, or baking in this case. Yeah, so I guess you just want it to be all, I don't know, like a less buttery, more creamy. I don't know how to describe it. You all know how to beat butter, right? It's good to have your butter prepared at room temperature before. It will make it so much easier to beat. And also, if you have an electric mixer, it's also a good idea to use one of those. So there isn't actually too much butter in this recipe, I just realised, because you're also using oil as another source of fat. Presumably this is so it doesn't make the batter and the sponge as yellow. Next, we're going to be adding the sugar. I'm actually going to cream it in because I love creaming butter, and it's a good way to kind of creaming butter and sugar. It's a good way to incorporate them both. So yeah, that's what that looks like now. Kind of all incorporated together, not too great because I'm going to be adding the oil in, which will kind of, some of the sugar will dissolve into that as well. So, now I'm adding the oil. Oil. But yeah, you want to beat this too. If I had a mixer, I would be doing this so much faster. So now I have this nice creamy mixture. It's like quite a thick, kind of like thick. So that's our wet ingredients done. Now let's go on to the dry. So I have some regular plain flour, which I'm going to sieve into this mixing bowl. Sieve. Then I also want to add into this the baking powder, and the salt. I think it's 1.5 teaspoons. I will check in a bit. I'm going to be fancy and use a whisk. I don't really need to use a whisk to incorporate this all together. Could just use a spoon. I just like whisks. And there we go. We've mixed together the dry ingredients. So I'm going to transfer my wet ingredients to this bigger bowl because I don't have enough space in the bowl that it's in. If I had any sort of foresight, I would have put it in that bowl to begin with. And then what I want to do is alternate between adding flour and milk to the mixture while like incorporating them together. Yeah, you want to put some flour in, mix it in, put some milk in, mix it in, and just kind of alternate between those until you've incorporated all the flour and all the dry ingredients and all the milk. I'm such a weirdo. Not gonna lie, this would be so much easier with a mixer. So I've mixed it all in. And you see, kind of got a quite pale cake batter, and it's got like this consistency. So our next job is to separate the egg yolks and the egg whites, which is my least favourite part of cooking. So the way you want to do this is you want to crack the eggshell and get it roughly in half, and then toss the yolk between the two eggshells, trying not to break the yolk, because then it'll be really hard to separate them. So I've got the bowl for the egg whites, a bowl for the egg yolks, and a bowl I'm going to put the egg whites in after I've cracked each one. So I don't know how many eggs I've cracked at this point, but it took me ages to get an angle where you could actually see me tossing the egg yolk between the two eggshells. But I think I did this pretty well. My arm's in a very strange position, which made it a bit more difficult to do. And voila, here we have all 9 egg whites and all 9 egg yolks. So I've got my egg whites and my egg yolks separated. I'm not going to be using the egg yolks in the recipe, but that doesn't mean you have to throw them away. I normally put them into an omelette, or make some scrambled eggs, some scrambled yolks. So you can definitely find things you can do with egg yolks. Or you can just search recipes for egg yolks, you know? Because these have 9 egg yolks there and I don't want them to go to waste. So then, next thing we want to do, I've cleaned my whisk and we want to whisk the eggs until there are stiff peaks, as they say. So once again, a mixer would make this a lot easier. Okay, I think that does it. So kind of this is what it should look like, and you should be able to kind of shape it. That's what stiff peaks means. It's kind of, they stay up when you do that. I nearly pulled this out of the bowl. So now that my arm is thoroughly dead, what am I doing? Right, I need to fold that egg mixture into the batter. Very gently. Just folding it. Okay, now it's all nicely incorporated. I should probably show you what it looks like. Look at this. It's going to tip over the edge if I do that anymore. Like that. Looks pretty much the same as before. And then the only thing left to do is to put it in the oven. But since we're going to make a coloured cake, I will be adding colouring to 2/3 of the mixture. So I need to put them into different bowls. So I've roughly divided the mixture between 3 bowls. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Now I just need to colour them. So I have a purple one and a black one, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of the black one to one of the mixtures to make grey, and then the purple onto the other to make a purple. Are you ready for this next shot? This is probably going to be one of my favourite shots. Look at that, that's amazing. I just love that. And then we do the same with the grey. Liquid is so cool. Now that that fun is over, I'm just gonna pop them in the oven. If you put them on different shelves, it's worth switching them around halfway through, just so they both cook the same amount. But I imagine you already knew that if you knew anything about baking. Or thermodynamics. Okay, so they've been in the oven for about half an hour. I wanted to check them beforehand, so this will be a good opportunity to check the cake. Okay, so they definitely look done. Hopefully not too done. I should have checked this beforehand, really. So I'm just going to put those onto the cooling rack for them to cool. I had a little trouble getting them out, as you can probably tell by the crumbs. Now I just need to put the last third in. While I have a free moment, I think I'm just going to make the buttercream icing. So for this, I'm going to go quite simple, just use 2 ingredients, icing sugar and butter. So once again, I'm just going to be adding the icing sugar to the butter and creaming it together. So I would say this is a good consistency. Yeah, it's just like thick. Now we're going to see whether I have enough icing, colouring, what do we call it? I managed to get it to quite a dark grey. It's not quite black, but I've run out of black food colouring, so it'll have to do. So now for assembling the cake. I have some blackberry jam, which I'm spreading on the cake right now. You can never have too much jam, really. I like using a more sour one because it contrasts the sweet of the icing. And you can't really see, but in the corner I'm putting the buttercream icing on the other half. And then once that's done, I can pick it up and... Wow, okay, that was a pretty good flip, I gotta say. If I do say so myself. Then, once again, jam, same deal as last time. This is what I like to call liberal spreading. And then I've got the other third half, the third third of the cake, there we go. Spreading icing on, and once again, flip! Okay, that wasn't as good as last time, but it works. And finally, to finish it off, I'm just going to cover the whole thing in more icing, because sugar. Sugar's nice? Sugar is nice. I don't eat this often, so who cares? This is a fun bit of the video, I like this bit. Just watch the cake. Oh, look, that's my elbow. That's definitely my elbow. And that's a good shot. Look at the cake. It looks so nice. And the big reveal. Ta-da! That's okay. I would say that's an okay cake. I'm just going to linger here for a bit because it just looks so good. It looks like it tastes really nice, but I don't know if I'm happy with how it looks. Hey, so I'm back again. It's a day later. So, like I said a minute ago, the cake didn't go entirely as I wanted, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I'm going to try and fix it. So what I've done is I've picked up some black fondant icing. I'm going to roll it out and then scrape off some of the icing, the buttercream icing that's already covering it, and replace it with this black icing. Hopefully then it will look a lot more like the cake in the logo. Right, so here we have the black fondant icing. I'm going to try rolling it out, just to make it as flat as possible, but I realised at this point it was sticking to the surface a bit, so I decided to add some icing sugar just to make it so it didn't stick as badly. I just wanted to put it on one side so it didn't make it grey at all. And then after I'd done that, I cut out a rough outline of what I think the cake will be. I'm overcompensating at this point because it's easier to take icing away rather than, you can't add icing on really. So yeah, it's way too massive. So I'm going to cut some off. There's another nice view of my elbow. And basically I'm just adjusting this until it roughly fits. Obviously this isn't how you would normally do it. You'd normally do it the whole cake, which might be a lot easier. That's my elbow again. But yeah, yep, and there we go. It's got a nice fit. Then I get a bit cocky and decide that it's not done yet. What I'm doing here is making a little, you know, on the edge of the cake how there's that little wavy bit? That's what I'm making at the moment, just making like a little sausage of icing and then shaping it to make that little wave. And pop that on top and voila. Yeah. Okay, now that that's done and it looks a bit better, I'm going to add the final piece, which is the little heart on the top. And the idea I had for that is that I'm going to make some biscuits, some heart-shaped biscuits, and then cover them in a little coloured buttercream to finish off. I could do fondant, but I don't have any white fondant to colour or any coloured fondant, so I just do buttercream. First step, as always, is to set the oven temperature. I've got it on 170 fan or 190 degrees Celsius. Convert it on your own, creaming the butter and sugar. And that's the butter and sugar creamed. I'm doing a really small amount because I only really need one biscuit since I've only got one cake slice left. Then we're going to mix in the egg yolk. Probably could have used it from last time if I had any sort of foresight, but I didn't. And once that's mixed in, I'm going to add in the flour. Oops. And you want to make it into like a single piece of dough. Once that dough has been made, I'm just going to roll it out. I originally tried with a rolling pin, but it broke up a bit too easily. I think the ratio may have been a bit off. So I ended up passing it down with my hand. And then I'm just going to cut it to heart shapes. I didn't have any like heart-shaped stamps, which would have been ideal, but to be honest, I think I did a pretty good job with the knife. I mean, I don't like boasting, but that's a pretty good heart, right? And I did 3 separate hearts of different sizes, just so, because I wasn't really sure how it would fit. The first one is way too massive, but I'm not sure about the other 2. And then just carefully removing the biscuit dough from that side. Yep, number two broke, and I got frustrated and decided to murder it. This is why I don't do fiddly things. And then I was going to roll out and make some more hearts, but then I just thought, I'll just make blobs of biscuit. There we go. And now I've got the buttercream. I'm just going to separate them into 6 separate ramekins, and then use a bit of food colouring in each to colour them into the right colours, so I can make a rainbow heart. So this one's purple. I'm just going to mix it in. I won't show them all individually. I'll just magically cut to them all being done in a moment. Yep, so that's all of them done, and they look pretty good. And there it is. There's the cake. After I've made my adjustments, I think it turned out pretty good, to be honest. Obviously it's not going to be perfect. I am not a professional baker or anything, but as a first try, I think that was pretty good. If you got this far in the video, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm going to make this short because I know the video dragged on a bit, but I want to just thank you all for watching the videos and for subscribing and for commenting and for messaging me. It really does mean a lot, and I hope I can continue to do videos for many more months or even years. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. I post videos every other Saturday, so if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. That is all I had to say today. Have a wonderful day, and I shall see you next time. I'm already making mistakes. I'm already baking mistakes. Oh, this is sunflower oil, by the way. Don't eat it. This way, there's no chance of it going wrong. Hopefully. Baking is hard.